I want to introduce the concept of ratios, right, and ratio analysis, because when we do financial statement analysis, it's all ratio analysis, and that's where we're doing performance, right? And what is a ratio? Basically, a ratio is just, one number over another, like dividing, right? That's what a ratio is. So earnings per share, it's a basic statistics. Like you see performance things in sports, right? How many times did somebody strike out per at bats or whatever, those kind of things. Same thing with companies, right? So there's basically two ways to do them. One is vertically, where we're in just 1 year and looking at earnings per share, or we could do what's our profit margin, right? And we could say, well, if we put net income divided by revenue, this number is going to be less than 0, right? Less than 1, right? This is a big number, and this is a littler number, right? So say it's 10%, right? That would mean that if this was $100 and this was $10, that would look like that, right? It would be 10%. If this was $20 and this was $100, it'd be 20%. So, you can start to analyze performance of your company and say, well, how is that? And then you can benchmark that to maybe other ones in the, in your industry or something. And say, are we performing better or worse than our competitors, right? Many times you can't find your competitors because they don't share their, financial statements. The only companies that share their financial statements, and they have to. I'm sorry?
Oh, nothing.
No, what are you going to say?
I just said publicly traded companies.
Exactly. No, please, don't. Let's make this more of a conversation. Yeah, I like it when you guys ask questions or complain about Amazon or something. They always say, I don't want it to be like, the sage on the stage, where I just blah, blah, blah. I want it to be more of a, so ask questions too, anything that comes up, anything you're thinking about.
It would be interesting to see, because there's a few places in town that are similar to our business, what their profit margins look like.
Right.
Compared to ours, but of course, you can't go.
You can't do it, or else you could go and work for them for 2 months as a spy, and then come back and give her all the information.
Sean would lose his mind. Yeah, there's no way.
The
espionage.
But like you said, public companies, and that's one of the, there's the pros and cons of going public, and everybody thinks that that's the holy grail, is to have an initial public offering, right, an IPO, and then you get all this money, but then running the company that way, suddenly all this disclosure, before you could be private, you could be like the president and say, I'm not going to tell you what my incomes, my tax returns are, but they're really huge, or whatever that you want to do, Once this happens, you have to say exactly what you have to show, and it has to be audited by a third-party accounting firm that says, yes, they followed all the rules and these are the numbers. And so then all of your competitors can see exactly how much you made and what you're doing and what your profit margins are and what your cost of goods sold is before you get into, and how much you're paying for all these different expenses and all that kind of stuff. So it's a competitive advantage not to disclose those things, and it's a competitive hindrance once you do. But a lot of times what you can do is look at companies that might be in a similar business that are public, and then maybe use those to benchmark what you're doing. That's the closest you can get a lot of times. So that's competitive analysis or performance analysis, and you can even just say, we want our profit margin to be, and even if it is 10%, well, maybe we can make it 12% next year or whatever, those kind of, even where you are, you can see if you can increase your performance or know what your performance is at least, even if you can't benchmark it accurately. The other way is horizontally, right? So that's like vertical analysis. You're just in 1 year, stacking one number on top of the other. Horizontal is how have we performed year to year, right? And that's where you see a lot of these, the typical graphs, right? Where, we're growing like crazy, right? That kind of stuff. And you want to put some kind of number to that and say we grew by, revenues grew by, 32% last year, and net income grew by 47%, or whatever it is, or 14%. you can start to make those kind of analyses, and then you can see performance-wise how you're doing over time.